I'm Chris. I'm the inventor of the transfusor, which is a device which converts the energy released by the fusion of deuterium to form helium to make electricity. It's quite small, it's desktop size, and it basically uses the pressure from the winding of a coil to compress the gas. It's modelled on a semi-variable star, which the gravity contains it. Instead of gravity, I'm using electromagnetic force, radiation pressure it is actually. It's in a straight tube with copper rings at each end which reflect the ions going in the Z direction, and also ionise the gas from the high voltage from the coil and connect to the gas. And it resonates, it oscillates spontaneously because it starts up by itself as with the basic frequency of the coil, which is determined by the coil capacitance, resistance, inductance, and with there it starts up spontaneously and produces nitrogen and nitrous oxide because of the compression forces compress the ions together. So it's not a heat thing, it's a different thing, it's driven by pressure. When the ions get close enough together, it does get hot and expands. And that expansion is prevented by the coil magnetic field and therefore induces electric current and therefore sustains the reaction. It's an oscillator. And you can connect it to conductively to another winding around the outside, which is the output transformer and produces power that can go into a car or whatever. The one I built was quite low power because it didn't have resources for a big one, and it was confiscated by the police. I don't know why, because it's not dangerous. But possibly because of the radiation hazard, I don't know. But they may have thought it was high voltage, it's dangerous or something. I really don't know. But anyway, I haven't got it now, so I can't show it to you. And the two friends of mine who were working with me have both stopped transmitting, so they're silent key. They're not here, they're living in another country, and direct one in Coventry, and I can't get through to them. So I don't know what's happened to them. I made one in 1969 when I worked with the Rutherford Airport Laboratory in Slough, and I think I don't know what they did with it, but it's still there for a proper mystery. It's still in some storage somewhere, and we found we could control it with something called a magnetic amplifier, which acts as a shunt controller. See, when the power goes too high, it switches off the power by shorting the coil. And I can do that with what's called a triac? No. Gas discharge by board. It's set at 6,000 volts. Now that's not a killing volt, it's dangerous, it's kV. It's quite low current. One I built had 2mm wires, and there was quite a lot of winding in it. I think there are 1,000. And that's it, really. And I wonder why it's not being used, because it would solve the world's energy crisis and wouldn't have used coal and oil. Okay, and that's what I built. I'm now in care because I'm quite an old man, and the care authorities do not want me to carry on with my experiments in this restricted environment. I need somebody to take over and take over where I left off. I've got a thesis on Facebook in the fuser group. Have a look at that. It's called a transfusor because it uses a transformer bursting pressure to fuse the deuterium. And it was invented by my colleague in Coventry. I'm in Cheshire, miles away. Well, that's best wishes, and I hope somebody gets on with it. I'm available if somebody wants to talk to me, but it's difficult because the gates won't let them in. The gate, we sent one to the Cullen Laboratory, and I think they scrapped it, but they rang me up and said, "Oh, there's no turn." I said, "No." She said it was a cold fusion reaction, and I don't really know what they did with it. I was told it couldn't possibly work, but it does. They use the Tokomak switch, was completely the wrong design. They can't get the pressure and get temperature, but they get more power in than power out. I have no power in and power out, so it's as the actual, what's the quality factor is infinite, whatever they call it. I don't know what they call that. So why don't we use it? Go with it, folks. Bye. This is the reaction tube. The coil is connected to each end of the tube and generates a high voltage, and that ionises the gas, and the coil compresses it. I call the coil ion compressor. I call the coil ion compressor. This is the second stage where this is the winding. The green is the winding, and the red is the plasma. And the coil is oscillating at 10 kHz, and that induces a current in the plasma in the opposite sense, and therefore repels it and makes it smaller. And as it gets smaller and smaller, and the pressure goes up because the force of the same in the area is smaller, and it carries on getting smaller, and the winding current heat is 7,000 amps at 10 kHz. The capacitance of the coil is the tuning capacitance, so there's no need for a separate capacitor. Now it's got even smaller, the pressure is higher. Eventually the pressure gets so high that a fusion reaction occurs, the pressure being 10 to the 10th pascals or 10 to the 20th pascals, and that initiates a fusion reaction which makes it hot, fuse, 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 and explodes and goes against the current in the winding, the screen winding, and therefore induces a current in it caused by the static edge principle. The process of change and slowly starts expanding again, and that's against the coil, and therefore produces electricity. This can then be tapped off in a separate source and used to power other equipment. The regulator is a simple gas discharge tube set at 6,000 volts, and that limits the voltage to 6,000 volts. I have to put a fuse in it too in case the current's too high. This repeats until it stops, runs out of fuel. That's all. And that's by invention. That's a picture way of doing it, which shows the mechanism. And every time the voltage rises, it strikes an arc through the coil, through the gas, and therefore ionised. So it stays ionised, and it probably as it glows as it is ionised, and but the actual thread of reactive gas is very, very small in the middle, and just comes and goes as the coil oscillates. The current goes up and down. Makes a sinusoidal oscillation driven by deuterium fusion, producing helium. The helium is tapped off and the deuterium recycled. We have a way of doing that with the diffusion chamber, because the helium diffuses very quickly, and so it can be trapped. And that is a byproduct which is valuable if you use it, you can sell it. I think it's not helium-3 because the more neutrons are produced, make it helium-4. Reaction is deuterium plus deuterium ion goes to He3 plus 1 neutron, I think it is, and that goes on to produce helium-4. Very few neutrons escape, they're all absorbed by the gas. So it's a very safe system. When we built this at the Rutherford Lab some years ago, 1969, I don't think they understood it, and I didn't understand how it worked, but it did work. And we powered a quarter horsepower electric motor from it. It ran at 120 hertz, I think it was, and it was a much bigger coil, and had a tiny capacitor on it which didn't do anything, but it helped. I remember I was quite young and just played with it, and I didn't understand it. It started with a valve, a big 3 kilowatt valve, but now I know with deuterium it starts off by itself. But it has to be specially adjusted to do that, if it does. And with air it does, because the air forms carbon, nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, and that's laughing gas. Both are toxic, give you a high. It actually generates electricity in the process. But it starts spontaneously, I think, therefore it will with deuterium. I haven't tried it with deuterium, but that's the idea. It carries on until the deuterium runs out and it's left with helium. Might go a bit further, and further up the chain. Pressure's very high. Thank you. That's all, folks. I was inspired to build this device because of global warming. But when I did it in 1969, there was no global warming, but we predicted there would be one, and we did build it in case. But they never used it because petrol was used universally on the basis of the economy.